Alright, let's start with a new section, control structures. Let's start with the if statement. But before that, what control structures mean? Most of you must know about control structures from PL/SQL or some other languages. If you know from any other languages, you passed the halfway through. But I need to talk a bit about what are control structures for non-programmers. Control structures are the code blocks that change the path of a running program. Sometimes you decide something, sometimes you need to loop through something. What are these control structures then? I can group control structures in two parts. The first one is if statements and case statements. With these statements, you make different actions with deciding programmatically. If this is true, do something. If not, do another thing like that. Case statement is just like the if statement. Usage is different. We will see the difference. The second group is loops. Sometimes we need to do similar things for all of the members of a group, collection, etc. We have some different types of loops. They are similar to each other with little differences. We are going to see all these, but now let's start with the if statements. So what is if statement? We use if statement for deciding what to do in a running program. We do that to do different things in different values or conditions. How do we use? We use our if statement with the way in the schema. So let's simply explain what are these keywords. If, then, else if, else, and if. These are the keywords. We need to write if, then, and if keywords to make an if statement. These are mandatory. If, then, and if. Else if and else keywords are optional. Condition is a Boolean variable or an expression that returns a Boolean value. Statements means your SQL or PL/SQL codes. You do your business in this area. How does an if statement work? First, if condition is checked. If the condition is true, the statements after the first then keyword is executed. Every statement belongs to its prior if or else statement. After executing this statement, the other conditions are not checked or executed. The program continues running after the end if statement. If the condition after if statement is false, then it moves to the next else if and checks this condition. If this condition is true, its statement is executed. And if statement is terminated by going to the end if statement. If the first else if condition is false, it moves to the next else if condition. And if this is true, this statement is executed. You can use as many else if statements as you wish, or you may not use it. It's optional. If there is not any condition that returns true, then else statement is executed. This can be thought as default execution. We can say that if none of our conditions return true, else statement is executed. Let's understand that with a simple example. Let's write set server output on first, because we're gonna have some outputs and run that. Now let's write declare, let's say v number, the type is number, and the value is, let's say, 30, and our begin keyword. Now I'm going to write my if statement. If my v number, let me copy that for the next text, is smaller than 10, then let me write my DBMS output. I am smaller than 10. Now let me write the else if statement. Else if v number is smaller than 20 for example, then let me put a space in here, and next else if v number is smaller than 30, then and our else keyword, and end if. Let me fill all these. I'm copying that and pasting in here and saying that I'm smaller than 20, and in here I'm saying that I'm smaller than 30, and if else works I will say that I am equal or greater than 30. Now I need to end my begin block. Now, what did we do in here? First, we declared a number and assigned 30 for it to use in conditions. Then we checked our number if our number is smaller than 10. Since our number is greater than 10, we passed this step and checked the next one. It is the first else if. Else if checks if it is smaller than 20. No, this is not true. So go to the next one. It is another else if. Is it smaller than 30? No. So there is no more check now, because else does not check anything. If all the conditions above returns false, then else works. Let me run that. So we saw that the output is I am equal or greater than 30. Let's change the number to 23 for example, and execute it. The if condition is checked if it is smaller than 10, no. Then checked if it is smaller than 20, no. Then checked if it is smaller than 30, yes. So the output is I am smaller than 30. Let's change the number to 5 now, and execute it. As we can see, now the first if returned true, so the result is I am smaller than 10. We can write as many statements as we wish. For example, we can add another DBMS output into any statement area. Let's add one into here. Let me copy that and paste here and say hi, for example. Let's run it. As we can see, hi, I am smaller than 10. We can add as many statements as we wish in any statement area. These statements can be a calculation, maybe calling a function, even another if statement, anything that we can use in a block. Yes, if statement is simply used like that. Now let's put something more on this. For example, what if our number value is null? Let's try. Now let's delete our number assignment. If we did not assign anything, it is null by default. Let me run again. As we can see, the else statement is executed. Let's assign a null value to see if it is different. No, the same. If you don't assign anything, its value is null by default. So can we add another if statement inside an if statement? Yes, in any statement area. Let's write another if statement inside our if statement. Let's write, for example, if our v number is null, then and if DBMS output put line the number is null. Let's execute this. Let me put an else in here to make some difference. All right, let's execute this now. I need to delete this semicolon and run again. When we run that query, it entered this else statement because of the number is null, but there is another control inside here. It checks if the number is null. Yes, the number is null. So the else inside is not executed. We can write as many if statements as we wish in another one. Now, let me show you one thing more for the if statements. Multiple checks. Most of the times you will need to check more than one condition at the same time. Let's assign our number to 5 again and add another variable. Let's write rename, for example, varchar 2 30 and Carol. And in here we just write and rename is equal to Carol. As we see, single equal is for comparison. Let's execute this. When we execute, we can see that both statements return true. Since this is an AND operator, both sides must be true. In here, both are true, so it's printed hi, I am smaller than 10. What if I change the name? Let's change Carol with Adam, for example. Now, 5 is smaller than 10, but rename is not Carol. So since both sides are not true, it passes to the next condition. There is only one condition in here, in this else if. Renumber is smaller than 20. So this statement is executed and the if statement finished in here. Let's change the AND operator with OR operator now. And run it. Now, since it's enough if one of the statements is true, the first is executed. I think you know how true, false, null works with each other from the SQL lessons, so I'm passing this subject. But I added a diagram into the document. Let me show you that. AND logic table, OR logic table, and NOT logic table. If you don't know yet, you can check from the document, but I can say simple things to remember. If the condition is an AND condition, all of them must be true to execute. If it's an OR condition, one true is enough. So this is the end of if statements group lesson. See you in our next lessons.